It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut. He need cut again, man.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings that Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade, which means distant thunder. My colonized name is Robert Pilot, and we discuss here on Native Roots Radio local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. And this portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Just thought I'd pop up the applause button there because, you know, it's good to do the show with you, Haley, because I'm right once a day here, and I really appreciate it. Hey, we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on, and we have a lot to talk about. This might take a couple segments here, but welcome, State Senator.
Well, thank you, everyone. Matakiape. I hope everybody's having a really lovely, lovely day here. It's such a gorgeous day in Minnesota. It's mid-70s, light breeze.
No humidity.
It's hard, no humidity. I'm not seeing any bugs fly through my house. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful day.
Yeah, well, I left State Senator. I left Wendy. I was in New York for 10 days, and we're right by the ocean. And you know, my hair and bald spots were showing. It was just the humidity was crazy.
So your hair doesn't go crazy curly or anything in the humidity?
It goes flat, and then you know every alley has every block has an alley, so my hair starts parting down the middle like a big alley, and so. We have to look for a baseball cap, and thank goodness my Chujunk here gave me a light-colored baseball cap to wear on these walks.
You don't just like do a comb over or anything like that?
Not yet.
The best of them do.
Soon. Hey, enough of this jibber jabber. We have some serious things to talk about. We saw you yesterday at a very, very important opening, and I know Haley and I talked about this yesterday, and it was like very emotional for us to listen and see how well Red Lake works together with themselves, but also all the great help from the legislators that were there, like yourself, and talk about the great things that college is going to be bringing everyone here in Indian country.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most uplifting, good pieces of news that we've had for so long. And we're talking about the Red Lake Nation just opened a new college in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, right across from the stadium. Not only is it a gorgeous building, they were able to preserve one of the old buildings and kind of build off of that, work around it. If you can, Google it and look at the picture of it. It's just beautiful. Like I said, it's across from the stadium, so they are open to renting that space for events. There's a big outdoor patio up on the top. And just the physicalness of it is so inspiring, but also the programming that they have and the support systems that they have in place for the students to show success is just really so exemplar. I know we've talked about graduation rates and dropout rates for our Native kids. And I think it's really important that we remember that, only about 75% of our Native kids across the nation actually graduate from high school. And sometimes people think, it's not that necessary. But oftentimes then the options that they have for jobs are not kind of sustainable jobs. And that graduation rate is the lowest of any group of people in the United States. And I think that's a challenge to all Native folks to get that. But the other part of it is that I read that only about 9.3% of American Indian folks graduate from college, which I thought was awfully low because, you know, if you look around, the people that I'm working with here in the Twin Cities and around the nation, many of them have incredible degrees and advanced degrees, and maybe they're just like the top echelon of that. But I think it's a trend that's changing, and I think we saw that in some of the examples that they shared yesterday at that grand opening. The young woman that spoke, the student, what was her name?
Yeah, I
Summer?
can't remember. Yeah,
Summer May.
Yeah.
May.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! This young woman came to the Twin Cities to go to the school. She talked about the incredible support that she had, the programs and the coursework that she was able to take, and she had such poise and spoke so eloquently. I was very, very impressed, and I know that Chief King, the president of the college, made a comment about he expects her to be chair of the tribe one day. Yeah. So I was just very, very impressed with what was going on there, and the number of people and the engagement of the tribe as well. It was fabulous.
Yeah, it really was. And they're starting out. Well, first of all, let me back up a second. Their headmaster, or the president of the college, is a Harvard grad. All these things fallen into place. It was one of his visions to do this, because we know we have the college up in Red Lake, but we also have 50,000 Native Americans living in the Twin Cities. We also have 8,000 or so of their 17,000 tribal citizens living in the Twin Cities. So this is all good medicine that makes sense. And I, being a tribal leader myself, was very, very impressed on how well their leadership worked together to make this happen.
Yeah, it was definitely a shared vision. And I think everybody came at it from maybe a different experience or different educational level or leadership level, as well as financial level. But yeah, it was really a heartwarming experience, and it was good to see some of the other leadership from other tribes there to participate in the celebration, and hopefully it sort of inspires all of them to work now together to ensure that not only this college is going to get even better, because I think they were this is just a 2-year school, like a community college, but they're hoping to have a full college. And of course, across the United States, there aren't very many Native colleges at all.
Right.
So Minnesota is moving ahead.
Yeah. And not only that, it's free tuition. It's also, you get a free computer, free backpack, free Wi-Fi. And these things, again, are game changers for anyone, but especially our community, which, lacks the funding a lot of times.
Yeah, that access to technology and internet, is such a huge thing. And I think my message yesterday was knowledge is power. And when our students don't have access to it, whether that's at the elementary level, high school, junior high, college, we're doing a terrible, terrible disservice. And we are certainly building that knowledge divide. And so the fact that they're able to make sure that everybody has those resources is just, the best ever.
Absolutely. Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're having our fun little fireside chat during the nice, beautiful weather here in Minnesota. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're just kind of chewing the fat here. This month, May went by really quick. My birthday month went really fast, and maybe next year I'll extend it to 2 months. But we also were celebrating. I don't know if it was celebrating. I don't know. Maybe I'd like to get your thoughts on this. But on June 2nd, 1924, Native Americans became legally citizens of their own country.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and I'm sure they don't talk about that in school.
No, they don't. I think I was trying to think about this the other day, what kind of education we were raised with. And I remember the discussion about like the Dawes Act or the Snyder Act, but it was just really vanilla, bland information. And you just memorize the title and the date and a sentence about, or you had to match it, remember, and you have to draw a line to match which one it was. But there was never any real discussion about that. And I don't know about you. Well, Robert, you were raised in a Native family, right?
Right.
But you knew you were Native, right?
Yeah, and it's funny too. That's a whole nother show. But the BIA said I was like 1/16 Native until I found my birth mother, which is another story. But yeah.
But so a lot of us that weren't raised on the reservation or raised in a traditional way knew bits and pieces of stuff, and that's kind of how I felt. And I remember hearing stories from my grandfather. He was born out on Fort Berthold in South Dakota, and Standing Rock tribal member that came to Minnesota as a young man. And, when I think back, 1924, he was married to maybe he hadn't married my grandma, who was a white woman. But here he's married to, a non-Native person who is a citizen, who can vote, albeit she's a woman, so she had limited roles and abilities to do the things that she wanted to. But that was just before my mom was born. So imagine if you were born to somebody who couldn't vote and they're indigenous to this nation, to this world. And I suppose they thought if they waited long enough, we'd all be gone, and then we wouldn't have to worry about citizenship or anything like that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned your great grandma. Would that be
My grandma and grandpa?
Yeah. Well, she just got the right to vote a few years before that.
I know. It's crazy that people just didn't have that ability to make the decisions about who they elected. But I think it's just really important that we recognize it's only been 100 years. And I know there were some instances where tribal people Native folks could get their citizenship, like if they served in a war or, back in the day when there was the allotment period. There were times or there were places where they would trade voting rights for Native lands. And it was, I'm sure at that point, you just don't know the value of the land. And if you're starving on the land and they're going to say, here's some other things you can do and you can vote, you might take that choice. But then the problem is how many of our tribal members, how many Native folks really got out and vote, and how many still do that today are not voting. So it's a really troubled history, and we didn't have the ability to elect people that made decisions for us. They weren't able to do things like what's the movie with Lily in it?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, and remember how she had to have a white person managing all of their finances because they weren't allowed to, and of course back then they didn't have voting rights and that sort of thing. And that was just one way to control the land and the money, and hopefully, eventually the eradication of indigenous people.
Yeah, there's been, whether it's boarding schools, whether it's moving natives off reservation and promising them jobs, there's been shady history that have been trying to remove us. And I not to revert back to the first segment, but one of the things Sam Strong said is that they've been trying to get rid of us for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we're still here, and we're building a college right in the middle of Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, the things that have happened in the last 8 years of my tenure as a legislator, from when I began, and nobody paying any attention to Native issues, tribal rights, conferring with the tribes on issues that really affect them closely, to what we do now is really huge. And the amount of legislation that we're able to pass that are going to have positive effects, not just on, reservations in Minnesota, but the urban Indian community is phenomenal compared to just 8 years ago. We have Indian Education for All. That's a mandatory program in our schools. Many of the schools are starting in native language classes. It's phenomenal, the progress that we've made, but it's taking a lot of people working together and supporting each other and trusting each other to do the work that we're able to do this.
I know, bouncing around, sorry about that, but when you were talking about the way the things were with your grandma and your grandfather, and how, we had to, I even believe my grandma, which would be Haley's great grandma, she had to lie and say that she wasn't full Native so she could own land. And so then what shakes out is, okay, now we got blood quantum. And now people are like getting X'd out that shouldn't be being X'd out. Nobody should be X'd out, by the way. We should all be going by lineage and not blood quantum. That's just a way to get rid of us. And so we hear these stories. We hear these stories about $5 Indians that they pay $5. They could join a tribe and steal everything and live on the land, and they're not even Native American. So all these things, there's books and books that should be written on this that tell the story, and it's a tragic story for our relatives, and we're seeing the good part of this whole history right now, as you were saying earlier, that they suffered through so horribly.
Yeah, it is. I think back on what our ancestors, or almost any ancestors really, went through back in the day, and how anybody ever lived through it, or, was able to, we always think we want the next generation to be better and wealthier and better educated, have more and more opportunities. But for so many generations, that was not the case for Indigenous people. And I think we're seeing a good turnaround. And again, it comes to leadership, and it comes to getting educated and putting yourself in positions where you can make those decisions that are going to have positive effect on the communities.
Absolutely. And it's just it's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, that we see how well we're living as opposed to our relatives, but we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of things happening to us because of what happened to us.
Native women are still the highest, the most vulnerable population in the United States. And again, I've been working on the missing and murdered Indigenous women relatives now for 7 good years here in Minnesota, and we established that permanent office. But there's still so much work to do, and our Native women are still going missing at the highest rates. And, really and truly, until that is down to a negligible amount, we still have so much work to do.
Absolutely. And, just being a Facebook user, I still see it. I still see people missing, men, women, children, in the Native way. So I want to amplify what you just said there, because it's the beginning, and we got to keep the momentum, and we need to we need to vote and have people, Native Americans, BIPOC people, and especially Native Americans, run for office.
Yes.
And that'll be our next big thing to push after we do a landslide victory of this next presidential campaign.
Yeah, let's knock on wood for that.
All right. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh and Haley Cherry. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
One of the best things about living in Golden Valley is that it celebrates the LGBTQIA plus community. Did you know that Golden Valley has more LGBTQIA plus households per capita than any city in Minnesota? Did you also know that the Golden Valley Pride Festival was the first suburban pride festival in Minnesota? On Saturday, June 8th, go to Brookview Park at 200 Brookview Parkway in Golden Valley for the 6th annual Golden Valley Pride Festival from noon to 6. The festival highlights our LGBTQIA plus families, their friends and allies, in the spirit of promoting greater understanding of the rich and growing diversity of Golden Valley and surrounding suburban communities. The event will feature 2 stages with live performances, food vendors, kids' activities, a beer, wine, and cider tent, as well as more than 100 community business and sponsor tents and exhibitors. Go to goldenvalleypride.com for more information. That's goldenvalleypride.com. Golden Valley Pride, Saturday, June 8th.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Toad, your alarm clock is ringing. It's spring.
It's spring?
Yes.
Ding-ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Is it spring? Is it true?
You know what that means?
I do. It means our show, A Year with Frog and Toad, is playing at Children's Theater Company.
I can't wait for everyone to come see us live on stage. Oh, what do you think we should do?
Well, we'll go swimming, bake cookies.
And of course, we'll also
sing! This is a musical, after all.
Don't miss A Year with Frog and Toad, playing April 23rd through June 16th.
Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. I interview many interesting Minnesotans and listen to their ideas on how they plan to improve the lives of members of the LGBTQ community and our wider Minnesota community, and then to hear their opinions on current events. Remember, you can listen to the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony every Saturday at 5 p.m. on radio or wherever you listen to podcasts. So come and join me and continue being fantabulous.
Tom Hartman here to tell you about St. Paul-based All Energy Solar. They've been providing solar energy solutions to customers since 2009. All Energy Solar's professionals will help you through the entire process, from a free site assessment to a custom design that works for your property. Now is the time to go solar. Make a powerful investment by switching to solar energy by visiting allenergysolar.com for your solar quote. That's allenergysolar.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms tonight with a low of 57, then clearing skies on Saturday with a high of 74. Country star Orville Peck is bringing his Stampede Tour to the Armory in Minneapolis next Tuesday, June 11th. We're giving away tickets all this week on the Matt McNeil Show. Listen during the 4 p.m. hour for your chance to win.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry, working with clients to perform, design, create, and accomplish. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com.
They are awesome, and please give them a call. They do a great job, and they're a new partner here at Native Roots or Roots Radio. I still can't say that right. Boots, Roots, Native
Boots,
Roots.
Roots, Auntie.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Hey, we are here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we always enjoy all these years with the state senator. What are we going to do when we retire? I suppose we'll still do the radio show, huh?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Until we're 100 years old, huh? Yeah, they said that people who become grandparents at an older age tend to live longer. So, having, just recently in the last couple of years become a grandparent, and I know you're going to be a grandparent very soon, Robert.
Yeah.
I guess we can expect another 40 years, huh?
Yeah. Well, we had Bob Blake on, and I think we're supposed to be down to zero emissions by 2050, and I'll be 90, so I don't know if I'll know the difference, but I might be around that long.
Yeah. Have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I'm going for a walk right after the show because I was getting those 15,000, 20,000 steps on the boardwalk in Long Beach, but since I've been home for a day and a half, I haven't really gotten out there, but I'm kind of resting a little bit here, and I'll go out later.
Well, like we said, it's a lovely, lovely day, and it always feels good to get out and move around.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully we're not making anybody out there in Indian country feel jealous, because we do have the perfect weather here. When it's not humid, we have the greatest summers in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder what we're going to start seeing as far as people moving from the south back up to the north because of the temperatures, the high temperatures. I have a brother that's going to Las Vegas this weekend. I think it's supposed to be like 106 degrees there.
Yep. Yep. It's a little early for that.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's over 100 for a number of days. And so, and I think Florida and you know, the deep south the temperature is just rising, just like it is here in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. But when you're that hot to begin with, or that warm to begin with, I can't imagine that those folks are going to want to live down there much longer when you have to stay in your house the entire time in air conditioning. The cost, the unhealthiness of it, of not being able to get out and move around, see people, do things. So yeah, it'll be interesting in the next couple of years to see how many people migrate back to up north. I know there was a huge migration after many of the states put in violated trans rights and LGBTQ rights and reproductive rights. I know so many people that actually moved to Minnesota for those reasons. Right. And, we'll see.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. That's a good observation. I know a lot of people were moving to the Twin Cities, and they went up and stayed at Duluth. I heard some report that Duluth has like 10,000 more people from all over the country that moved up there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the state. You can't beat that Lake Superior, except maybe in the winter when it's really stormy, or if you're on a ship, a barge out there. It's beautiful country up there. I don't know who wouldn't really want to live up there, but it'll be very, very interesting to see how things go. And I worked on some legislation with our Posse Caucus in the Senate. That Posse Caucus is people of color, indigenous. So all of us folks of color have our own little caucus, and we work on issues and legislation that affect our unique communities. And one of the issues is around land that is taken by the county for tax forfeiture, and how that land is sort of resold. And Senator Pa, who is a senator here just in the Brooklyn Center area, is an incredible real estate person. And she was talking about how hard it is for folks to get loans for those pieces of land, and how the county will often, some of the counties will finance the purchase of that land, and county does the financing. You don't have to go out and get a mortgage or anything like that. And I just think that that's really important as we're looking forward on how to get those lands into the hands of folks, and with like no minimum deposit down, because you know how hard it is to get any down payment, and then to be able to keep those payments up. So I think we'll see some changes in our population across Minnesota in the next couple of years. And I think it'll be a lot to do with climate change, and also I hope education, because as education chair, I am just bound and determined to continue to do the good work in that way. Yeah,
definitely. You were parading yesterday. That's part of your job, is getting out there and shaking hands and kissing babies, not only your grandbabies, but everybody else's. That's kind of an exciting time to be, especially with the support your community has for you.
Yeah, it's election year, not for me, because I I have a 4-year term, so I'm just right in the middle of mine. But our state representatives, all of them have to get reelected this year. But one of the things I really do enjoy is going to our community parades. And we had one up in Spring Lake Park yesterday, or Fridley, their Towers Day. And it was a lot of fun. It's good to see people out and about, just people lining the sidewalks, waving and saying hello. And there are a few people that kind of frowned on the new flag that was flying in the vehicle. I was riding with Representative Erin Cagle, who's up for re-election, and she had the new Minnesota flag. But a lot of people were like, yay, giving us the thumbs up, and a couple are like, but it's all in good spirit. Everybody's out, and just a good sense of community.
Yeah. Well, I can't, there's two things that are on my list now that I'm back from New York, and one of them is to get my license plate changed and also get a state flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one she had was beautiful. The star was almost embroidered. It wasn't just like flat canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to find out where she got that. But I'm seeing more and more of those flags flying, and more of the MMIR license plates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always try to look in the window, like, do I know that person in there? And I still, to this day, every time I've looked, it hasn't been somebody that I know, which is really great, because that means people, all kinds of people are buying that license plate. And just to remind folks, it's a missing and murdered Indigenous relatives license plate here in Minnesota. It's a specialty license plate, and all of the funds that the specialty rate for that license plate goes directly to the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives office here in our state government. And they can use that for rewards. They'll use that for searches or the work that needs to be done in looking for and finding and keeping our community safe. So I hope you get one of those license plates, Robert.
That's exactly what I was alluding to. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Good
and
for
I don't
you.
know, can you get them personalized too? I know I've seen, so that's a little more money. And I'm trying to think, what's the name of this former president of Prairie Island? Shelley Buck, right?
Yep.
She has one. I was at a meeting with her with Met Council, and she was in the same parking lot as me. Said, "Oh, I got to go see who that is," and it was Shelley. She has one, right? She must have got them right away.
What does hers say?
It just has numbers.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have a special. I chose mine, and I put Wachoni, which means respect and honor. But you can only have 6-letter number combination. And when you go in there, they'll ask you for 3 different ones in case somebody already has the one that you wanted. Like I know the director of the MMIR office chose MMIW, maybe like 00 or 11. I don't remember exactly what it was. So I chose something that wasn't going to be something that that might duplicate hers. Mm-hmm. So if you do that, be prepared and have 3 different choices. And if nobody's taken the one that you chose as your first one, then you get that. If somebody already has that, then it'll go to the next couple. I was at the desk and they told me that. And I was like, well, I don't even know what my other choices would be.
Yeah.
And had to come up with something really fast. So that's what I did.
Well, mine would be either pilot, or is it 7 letters or numbers? I can't even remember. If it was 7, some way I got to spell Ho Chunk, and probably without a K or an N or something, or a U, or a C, or an O, or an H.
One of them.
I'll have to figure that out, because that's what I want on mine is Ho Chunk, and so maybe H Chunk.
Yeah. Or Ho and then CHNK.
Say that again?
Ho.
Yeah.
And then CHNK. Take out the U.
Yeah. There you go. Oh,
yeah.
Haley, we're doing that again.
Jinx again.
Jeez. Well, heck, we only got 30 minutes here. What's your week look like? Or 30 seconds left. What's your week look like?
Next week is not such a busy week for me, which is great. I'm having some work done on my house, so I'm getting that ready. But end of June, July, August, I'm really busy going to conferences and family things. So it's nice. It's nice. I'm getting a few books in and spending time with the grandkids and getting rested up, got my hair cut, all that good stuff. New glasses, everything.
We'll send Native Concrete over, too, to give you an estimate.
Perfect.
Right on. Hey, Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota's senior health options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Charlie. Dad, don't make me say this.
I'm posting your baby photos on my social media.
Fine. My dad is the original Minnesota Mac Daddy, Matt McNeil.
Darn tootin'.
This summer, after graduating college, I'm going on a road trip across America, and I'm driving the RAV4 from Rudy Luther Toyota. The RAV4 is a perfect vehicle for both city and outdoor driving. It's comfortable, it's a hybrid, and it's fun to drive.
Son, it is fun. Test drive the RAV4 today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 just west of downtown Minneapolis.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and I learned so much from you and all these years, and you are a founder of Native Roots Radio.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Haley. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajingo, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that, as always. I have some good news here. This is news from last week. So really 8 days ago, May 30th, 2024, and this is from News 10 San Diego. Yellowstone National Park's oldest wolf gave birth to 3 pups this spring. Yep, Wolf 907 has lived nearly 4 times the average lifespan of a wolf and just gave birth to her 10th litter of pups. The oldest wolf in Yellowstone National Park is known as Wolf 907. The 10th litter has just started to come out from its den, said Kira Casey, a research associate with the Yellowstone Wolf Project. The 3 pups are now to be 4 weeks old, so they're just 5 weeks old now, because this is a week old, and have started to crawl around. Wolf's 907's current den is visible from the roadway. She's just over 11 years old. The oldest one we've ever recorded is 12 and a half, Casey said. We know of at least 5 wolves that were captured and radio collared that are her direct offspring, she said. Last year, Wolf 907 old had 1 pup survive in her litter. Quote, she has now lived almost 4 times longer than the average wolf. On average, they only live to about 3 or 4 years old, Casey said. We've only recorded 2 that have made it to 12 years old, she said. Only 26 collared wolves have made it to age 10. Wolf 907, the current leader of the Junction Buttle Pack in the northern part of Yellowstone National Park, has also lived most of her life with only one eye, as discovered through a trail cam video. It happened at some point between the time she was 10 months old and 4 years old, and we're not sure what happened, Casey said. It doesn't seem to hold her back at all. Generally, experts say wolves don't die of old age. They face many challenges, including vehicles and humans. Quote, it's always some kind of really dramatic kind of death. About half of them die when 2 packs fight each other over territory. They will also die while they are hunting large prey like elk or bison. They might get kicked or gored, Casey said. However, older and more experienced wolves can help younger wolves be cautious of these dangers. Quote, they can get experience that being successful is something that they can teach them, the younger pack mates, said Casey. Right now, about 25% of the wolves in Yellowstone National Park are collared. The Yellowstone Wolf Project started in 1995 after wolves were relocated to the park. It is one of the most detailed studied of a large carnivore in the world, according to Yellowstone Forever, the nonprofit partner of Yellowstone National Park. More work is now being done on the social dynamics of wolves. Gray wolves have previously been hunted to extinction by the 1920s before the reintroduction. So that's a great story. 907, best wishes with your 3 pups, and we hope that they live a long and prosperous life. We're always happy when pups are born and survive and do well. So I'm really happy about that. So congratulations. Let's see what else we have here. A couple of new things here. It's Fun Fact Friday, so I wanted to just share that. I've been collecting memes off of Facebook and other social media that are kind of funny and fun, and I've been sharing those every Friday. Last week, I'm going to repeat this one. It just shows the inside of a brain of a dog and an inside of the brain of a cat. And inside the dog, things like love, play, sleep, sniff, loyalty, protect family, food, and dig is inside the brain of the dog. But inside the cat's brain, or the mind, is food, sleep, and murder. And then one has a question mark. So I thought that was really funny. I wanted to share that again. Here's another one that I thought was pretty funny. There's a woman, and she's looking at her dog, and the dog is looking back at her. And the woman says to the dog, "The neighbor tells me you were out chasing people on a bicycle." And the dog said, "He's lying. I don't even have a bicycle." Da-dum-bum. I thought that was pretty funny. Then there was another one, a meme of, I don't know if people know this, but when you're Catholic, I don't know if they do it in other religions, but when you're Catholic and you have to go to confession, you go into like this little booth and there's the priest on one side and you're sitting on the other side, and there's like, you really can't see the priest. There's like this little foggy window that you look through and you could talk to the priest. But anyway, there's the priest sitting there, and on the other side of the window is a little dog, and he's confessing to the priest, I acted like I had been fed and got a second breakfast. I think Wanda does that. You know what? She really plays us. I think like I'll give her some food and then she'll see Robert and she'll act like really, really hungry and want to eat again. So she tricks us. So now we always have to ask each other. I'll always be like, Robert, did Wanda eat? And Robert will say, yes, I just fed her. And I'll be like, oh, okay, because she's looking at me kind of hungry. There is a thing called single kitten syndrome. Yeah, I didn't really know that this was a thing, but it's true. It says here that felines are social animals and typically live in colonies, and kittens need interaction with other kittens for healthy social development. And isolating a kitten can delay their developmental, emotional, and if they have a little friend, it really helps them. So kittens learn to play, they learn behavioral boundaries from other kittens. And while humans are great, they can't provide the same kind of feedback and play that other kittens provide. So if you in the market for a kitten, always try to get 2, because 2 is better than 1. And I would say that with older cats too. You know, Robert and I, we did take a chance when we went to the shelter. We just saw 2 cats. They didn't know who they were. The 2 cats did not know each other. So we picked these 2 old cats and we were like, okay, let's bring them home and see what happens. We were a little bit worried, but they hissed at each other a couple of times, and honestly, they really just fell in love with each other and they became best buddies. Yeah, so that would be Tommy and Princess, and they really did love each other. So here's another meme I have. It's really funny. It's this person laying on the ground with 2 dogs, and the 2 dogs are laying there too. And it says here, person, you should try to go out and make more friends. And this says me, person laying on the ground with the 2 dogs. So that's what I like to see. There's a beautiful little watercolor picture of a girl sitting underneath a tree with a little pig, and it says, may life treat you the way that you treat animals. And I really love that one. And that's how I like to live my life, treating animals with kindness and respect. And with that, back to you, Robert and Haley. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Wendy. This is Haley Sherry logging off for Native Roots Radio. If you've been listening to the show, you are part of our resistance, and we thank you for that. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, vote, and free Leonard Peltier on Monday.